Okay, this is the Phase4Chat1, and we're doing some more things this week with validation and stuff. So we have to enter, if you're a returning customer, and they have to enter a yes or no, the username, and we've already done that on our last project where they have to fill in a name. They get 3 chances, and then it's out. Enter at least one product order. Enter quantity must be between 1 and 99, so we're going to talk about validating. Enter delivery address that includes street, city, state, and zip, and enter telephone number. Now, on the next chat, on chat 2, we're going to talk about how to add all this to our GUI. But for this one, we're just going to use pop-up dialog boxes, which gets really kind of annoying for the user, but not a big deal because we're stepping through this. So we're going to start with what we have for the assignment, okay? And this is just this is the standard, what we had before, and I'll just run it real quick. Uh-oh, I have errors. Okay. Returning customer, yes. Nope. So it's in that thread there. Customer, return after paying. Return yes. Oh, here. Because we have to give return flag a value. Let's say return flag equals 0. Yeah, that should fix it. When you don't initialize, even if it'll initialize during runtime, if you don't initialize it initially, it kind of gets wiggy on you. So you really need to initialize. If it's inside of an if statement, you need to initialize. Okay, current username because I said yes. Current password. And I'm not going to do I'm not going to test to see if it does the name because it should work. And it gives me my output message. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to change this up a little bit. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by looking at this return flag. So we have to have a yes or a no here, right? So if they don't put a yes or no, we can do an if statement. So we can do an if statement like they didn't, if it's not a Y, or if it's not an N, or if it's not a capital Y, or if it's not a capital N, we can go back and say, please enter either Y or N and do it again. Okay, so that's one option. The other thing that we can do is we can employ this thing called a confirm dialog box. Okay, so what a confirm dialog box does is it pops up and it has that yes or no. And now you can change it to make it say something other than yes or no. But to keep it simple, we're just going to do a yes or no. So what we're going to do, and the thing is that this returns, the yes returns a 0 and the no returns a 1. Okay, so if they press yes, it gives a value. If they press no, it gives a value. So what we can do here is we can get rid of that. Okay, so we have int return flag. I'm just going to comment this stuff out here because we just comment out until we're sure that everything runs. So now we have the return flag. So what we need to do now is create a confirm dialog box. And what we're going to do is because it returns because it returns an integer, we're just going to assign that yes or no to that return flag. So same thing, J option pane. And then this time we're going to do a confirm dialog box. And if you scroll down, you can see the show confirm dialog. Okay. And we'll just pick, this actually isn't the one that I need, but so we're going to keep it null. Null is just the, that's the object. Don't worry about that for now. You'll learn that later on. And then I'm actually changing this. It's not, I didn't pick the right one, but that's okay. So we're going to put, are you a returning customer? Now, we can say, whatever we want. We can say, have you been here before? What's the deal? Whatever. Okay, then I'm going to do a comma. And my next argument in here is going to be the title that goes in the title bar. So like this, up here. So I'm just going to put, and it's a string. So I'm going to put return status. That's just the name for the dialog box. Okay, and then I have to tell it how many buttons I want. So I can have a yes button, I can have an okay button, I can have a yes, no, cancel button. I want a yes, no button. So I'm going to do yes, and it's got to be all caps. No. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going to do J option pane. Sorry. Dot. Now I'm going to do the yes, no. And see, I can do yes, no, cancel. I can do yes, no, or I can just do yes. Okay? And yes is kind of like okay. So I'm going to choose this yes, no option. Okay, and then of course I have to end my line in a semicolon. So now what this is going to do is it's going to pop it up. So now I've got my return flag, and it returns, remember, what does it return? Yes is a 0, no is a 1. Okay, so what I need to do is I can take all this out because I don't need this anymore, because I'm not using Boolean values now because I've already got my numbers. So if you watch what happens, okay, see now case 1 is please enter your current username. See, current username. So I'm just going to run this without switching up my return flag, so you can see. Because if it defaults, which will be a 0, it says, here, let me see. You can see it says, please enter your new username. So I'm going to put yes. I don't know what I just did there. See, new username, new password. Okay, so new username and new password, which is not what I want, right? Because I put yes, so I want current username and current password. This is why it says you must enter yes or no, because I have this in here in the default. Okay, so that's why it defaults. See, but that's even better. See, so when I pressed yes, and it went down to the default, but it should have gone to case 1, right? So what I need to do is I need to add one to the return flag. So I'm just going to go here and I'm going to do return flag, and then we can do equals return flag plus 1, or what I can do is I can use the shorthand plus equals 1. And I'll separate that out so you can see. Okay, so return flag plus equals 1. So what that's saying, that's shorthand for return flag equals return flag plus 1. Okay, so I just shorten it up a little bit. Okay, so now we can run it again. See what happens. Okay, we've got that pop-up box comes, that's fine. Are you a returning customer? Yes. Enter your current username. Perfect. Okay, so I can just fill in all my stuff here. I have to put a name, otherwise it's going to go around. Okay. So, what we've done now is we've forced the user. Remember, users are stupid. We don't want to ask them to do anything that's not going to be easy. Okay? So the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that they place an order. Okay, now I'm doing pizzas here. I've got Chicago, New York, or Hawaiian. I'm just going to show you this stuff once. You're going to have to alter these to make them to make it work for what you want it to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go down below the name here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a dialog box. Now I can do a dialog box where I ask the user to type in like Chicago or New York or Hawaiian, right? And like I said, users are stupid. We don't want to force them to type anything in that might be new or unusual for them. So like, Chicago, I mean, it's not new or unusual, but, they have to spell it right, and if there's a typo and it gets all confusing. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them a drop-down list instead. Okay? So what we need to do is first we have to define what's going to be in the dialog box. Okay? So we're going to do object, and object gets these square brackets. Okay, so square brackets go around it. So what we're doing is we're saying, okay, we're creating an object. We need to give our object a name. So we can call it choices. Okay, so now it's choices is the name of the object that I'm creating. What I'm doing is I'm creating an array. It's an array. Okay, it's an array, and we're naming the array object, we're naming the array choices. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to list our choices in here. Okay, so we put our elements, of our array into curly braces. Okay, now these are strings, so I'm going to do Chicago because I have Chicago pizza, right? And I'm going to do New York because I have New York pizza. New York, and I'm going to do a Hawaiian pizza. Okay, now you can do as many of these as you want. Okay, and it closes with, closes with a curly brace. And this one actually gets, even though it's curly braces, it's kind of confusing because you think curly braces, so no semicolon, right? This actually gets a semicolon, okay, because these are elements of the object. So it actually gets a semicolon because it's a statement. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to assign whatever they choose. So whether they choose Chicago or New York or Hawaiian, these are all strings. So we're going to assign those to a string value. So I'm just going to I'm going to declare and initialize it here. I'm just going to ask for simplicity reasons. Okay, equals. Now what I do is I do this. Okay, I put string in parentheses. Now what that's doing is it's saying return a string from this dialog box here, as opposed to an object. What we're doing is we're doing a cast. We're changing one thing into another thing. It's so we're like forcing it to be a string. So we could have, you know, a number in there or whatever, but it would force it to be a string. We're going to do J option pane. Now this is an input dialog box. Okay, so show input dialog. Okay, now what we're going to do is this has certain elements. Okay, we can't just do the regular input that we had before. So we're going to start with null. That's the object. Don't worry about that. You'll learn about that in later classes. Now, we're going to put our message, what we want the user to see inside the window. So we're going to put, please choose your pizza type. Okay, then I need to do the title, what the title is. So again, that's what this is up here. So this is our next string. So I'm going to put, I'm going to call this place pizza order. Pizza order. Okay. All right. Now the next thing that I'm going to put in here is I want to tell it what kind of a message I want it to use. What kind of a message that we're going to have in here. So we're going to do J option pane, and this is actually called a plain message. Plain message. Okay, plain message, and then null. This next null, that's the icon. So if you've designed like a really cool icon, you can use custom icons. So if you've created a custom icon, you can use that custom icon, but we're not creating custom icons because that's just more. If you want to, you can, but all right, now the next thing we need to do is we need to put the list. So our list is called choices. So that's our list. And then finally, the last thing that we want to do is we want to tell it what the first choice is. So like, let's say I want New York. Maybe New York's my most popular pizza. So I want to put New York as the first. Even though it's in the middle, I can choose New York. A lot of times you see this when with countries, you know, they're listed alphabetically, but United States is, you know, selected. It's the first choice. So you can put whichever one you want here. I'm just going to put Chicago. It doesn't matter. Okay, so Chicago. And then you need to close your braces and do your semicolon. Okay, so now what we've got is this is going to return to this string S, whatever the type of pizza that we have. Okay? So now the next thing that I want to do is I want the user to put in how many pizzas they want. Okay? We can do 1 through 99. That is a lot of numbers. So if you want, you can do another one of these, and you can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you're going to do that, I would suggest going into like Excel and just pulling it down 99 and then saving it to a comma delimited text and then copying it into your list. That would be so much easier. So so I can show you how to do that really quick. So what you would do is you do this. So you do 1, 2, and then you select those, and I'm just going to pull these down. All right, now what I'm going to do is I do File, Save As, and you go down to 99, and you want to comma, let's see, comma delimited right there, okay, and then I'll just save it to my desktop, and save it, and then, okay, yes, and then I can go down here, and I can right click on it, and I can open it with Notepad. Oh, it didn't do it. It's supposed to be comma delimited, you idiots. Let's try doing it this way. Let me try this. Hold on. Hold on. I got it. Okay, let's go across instead. All right, now this should work. File, save as, and then save. Yes. Okay. Yes. Alright, let's see if this works now. Open with Notepad. There, we got it. Okay, so you would do that to 99 and then you just copy it. Okay? So much easier that way. Okay, so that's if you want to do 1 to 99. I'm going to show you a different way to do it though. What we're going to do is, users are stupid, but we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt this time, just because this is an easy way to deal with this. So we're going to start with, I'm going to start by declaring a variable to hold my number that I get from them. And note up here that you should be declaring up here, but I'm declaring down here. So you should declare everything the same. So we're going to do int number. And I'm going to give it a value. I'm going to make it equal to 0. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what's called a while loop. That means as long as something is true, we're going to keep going through this, going through this, going through this. Okay, so I'm going to do while, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that number there. Number is less than 1, not less than or equal to, less than 1, or. And these are those little bars. So if you press your shift key and you look all the way over onto the right, like kind of under your backspace key, it's the bar, that's what that's called, it's called a bar, is right above the backslash. Okay? So that means or, as opposed to if you want to do and, you can do and. Okay? So I'm going to do or, and then number is greater than 99, because they can put 99 or they can put 1, but they can't put less than 1 or greater than 99. Okay, so I'm saying, okay, so while this is true, so while either, and this will choose either one, if the number's less than 1 or if the number's greater than 99, it's going to keep executing this this thing that I've got going on here. So now what we need to do is, so we have a number, right? But we're using we're going to use an input dialog box. Whenever you use an input dialog box, always text, always a string, always. So what we need to do is we need to change that string into a number so that we can do this comparison. We can't do that comparison with like a letter 1, because it's not going to be, they don't match up, because then you'd be looking at an ASCII 1 compared to a 1 it just gets all confusing. So what we're going to do instead is, and we have to open our while loop because that's going to tell us where we are. So we're going to do string. So again, I'm declaring a variable, and I'm going to call this number s. Okay, so like number string is what that is. So number s equals, and again, input dialog box, because they're going to be putting it in. So J option pane, and then we're going to do show input dialog, and we're going to say I don't know, whatever, how many pizzas here. Let's make this a little bit more. Okay, so that they just chose a kind of pizza, right? So like, let's say they chose a Hawaiian pizza. So we can actually personalize this. So we can do how many plus s, that's the string. So that's going to return either the Chicago, New York, or Hawaiian, whatever they chose. How many s plus pizzas? I'm going to do this. And remember that what that is that that's the new line. So we get a new line, and then plus would you like to order? Actually, I'm going to do another new line, and then I'm just going to plop down to the next line, and I'm going to put please type a number between 1 and 99. Okay, so now that's what my input dialog has. So theoretically, they're going to give me a number. I'm going to parse that number into a string, and they're going to, well, it's actually right now it's just a string. So now what I have to do is I have to turn that into a number. So I'm going to do what's called parsing. Okay, so I'm going to parse that number. So I'm going to force that string to become a number. Now, here's the thing. We're not doing error checking in this. We're not like, you know, catching any errors or anything. So if they put in a letter, that is going to throw an error. So if they put in like an F, it's not going to work. So so you have to assume they're going to do right. Now in your next class, you're going to learn how to catch those errors and to handle them. It's called error handling. How to handle those errors so that if the user does happen to be stupid and puts an F, you can correct it so that it doesn't just throw an error and exit the program. So what we're going to do, we're going to assume they put a number in, and what we need to do is we need to, like I said, we need to parse that number. Now we're going to, it should be a whole number, so it's going to be an integer, and it doesn't matter if, and we're going to use this number up here. It doesn't matter if the number is, you know, if they put 33.7, it's just going to chop off that 0.7. So it's not that big of a deal if they do that. So we're going to use that number equals, and we want to parse it into an integer. So we're going to do integer dot parse. Okay, and here it is right here, parse int string. Okay, and so my string is going to be what? My string is going to be number s, right? Because that's what I'm going to be turning into a number. Okay, so now my number, I've taken my string number s, and I've turned it into an integer number. Okay, now if we run this, okay, I'm going to run this and I'm going to go outside of the range. So we're going to do like 0. Okay. Are you a returning customer? Yes. B. And B. And B. Okay. And it says, please order your pizza type. Now see, it's Chicago, New York, or Italian. Or I mean Hawaiian. Oops. Dagnammit. Where did it go? Okay. Now, see, how many Chicago pizzas would you like to order? Please type a number between 1 and 99. So I'm going to do 100. Okay. Now, it comes back. How many Chicago pizzas would you like to order? Please type a number between 1 and 99. Now, theoretically, if they read it again, but that's like a lot of words to read, and you know, if I'm a user, I don't read everything because I'm lazy that way. So what we need to do is we need to tell them what their error was. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and X out of this. So what we want to do is we want to tell them what their error is. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to do another if statement because we don't want to show it here. Okay, I'll do it without an if statement first. I'll show you. So if we do J option pane, so we're going to show them a message dialog that says, you know, you typed the wrong thing. So we're going to do show message dialog, and then it's going to be null, and then our message is going to be, you must choose a number between 1 and 99. Okay, now watch what happens though. Okay, this is why we need an if statement. I'm going to show you. Okay, so we're going to run this. Okay, so that's fine. Yes. B. 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 Okay, Chicago is fine. Okay, so I'm going to do 100. Okay. Okay, that's fine. And I'm going to do 75. Okay. Oh, and it just says I must choose a number 1 and 99. But I just did, right? Because I put 75. Okay, so you see what the problem is? This is why we have to do an if statement, because we don't want to display that message every time that they put a number in, because then they're going to get confused, because they're going to be like, well, I did put it between 1 and 99. So what we want to do is we want to add an if statement to that. So we're going to do actually basically the same thing. I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to put if, and then I'm going to put that. Okay, so if number is between 1 and 99, then I'm going to show that message, else I'm going to break. Okay, and what break means is it means I'm going to leave the loop. So if they're still outside that range, I'm going to keep looping, but if they're inside that range, then I'm going to break. That means I'm going to leave the loop. Okay, so we can test that again just to see how that works. Okay, it's really important to test. You notice that throughout this, I'm testing. It's easier to find your errors if you test after every little thing that you do, just to make sure that you know what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to put no this time. Okay, see, please enter my new username. So we know that that works, right? That's excellent. And then a B, and then a B. Okay, choose, and I'll choose a different kind this time, just to make sure that it's working. So I'm going to choose Hawaiian. It says, look, how many Hawaiian pizzas, because that's what I chose. Okay, now I'm going to choose outside the range. So I'm going to put 0. Okay, I have to choose between 1 and 99. And let's do outside the range again, just to test. So I'm going to do 100. I'm going to go above. This is, you got to test both sides of the range, because it may work on one side, but not the other side. So it's a good idea always to test both sides of the range. So, okay, choose a number 1 through 99. Okay, so I'm going to do, I'll do 50. Okay, excellent. Welcome B, your login is BB. Thank you for visiting Pizzas R Us. Well, that's great, okay? But that message isn't really complete, right? Because I want to tell my user, I want to thank them for what they bought, right? So my login, my user ID, I'm going to put little spaces around here just because that kind of bothers me. Why is... Oh, at some point I must have pressed insert... Oops. Okay, so your login is, and notice we use these spaces so that our spacing looks correct on our sheet. Now I want to do my order. Your login is, and then I'll put another plus, and then see, this is a new line, so I can start without a space. You ordered, or I'll put your order of. And then I'm going to put the number, plus number, plus, I'm going to put a space here, plus, and then I'm going to put S, the string of pizzas, right, plus, and then a quote, and then a space here, because I want a space between the S and there, pizzas, N has been successfully placed. Okay, and we can kind of break this up a little bit. It's kind of, it looks like it's kind of a lot, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do another one here too. So this will just kind of break it up a little bit. Okay, so now I have my output message. It goes to my output message here. Okay, so output message equals welcome plus customer name. Your login is, your order has been successfully placed. Okay, so let's run it and see what happens. Okay, Pizzas R Us ordering system, that looks good. I'll put yes, doesn't really matter. Okay, we're going to try New York this time because we haven't done New York yet. Okay, please type a number 1 through 99, and we already know that that works, so we're just going to type a number. Okay, welcome B, your login is BV. Your order of 50 New York pizzas has been successfully placed. Thank you for visiting Pizzas R Us. And I'm missing an N. I want another N here. Okay, because that'll look better. Let's try one more time. I just want to make sure that you always, it's important to test, and it's important to make sure that it's easy to read things and easy to see what's going on. So if you don't like something, go back and fix it. Don't just leave it. And then test it again. After you fix it, test it. You never want to just fix it and then say, okay, well, everything's fine. You want to check it. You want to change it and then test it. See, now this looks a lot better. This is easier to read. Welcome B, your login is BB. Your order of 4 Chicago pizzas has been successfully placed. Thank you for visiting Pizzas R Us. Now, if you want to get really freaky, you can start doing things so that if they order 1, then it just says pizza instead of pizzas. Okay, you would use an if statement for that, right? Now, another thing too you might want to notice on mine, you notice that I had 2 different options, right? I could order any of these flavors, Chicago, New York, or Hawaiian, and then I can order pizza sizes, so I can order small, medium, or large. So I might want to do 2 dialog boxes, one to capture the type, one to capture the size, and then one to capture how many. Okay, so you can start getting kind of creative on this. Think about all the things that you know how to do now, and start adding that to your program. Make your program do what you want it to do. Don't try to just, minimize it. Make sure, though, that you've got a full system so that if you've got, 2 things that, like if you're going to order parts for a car, then you can order color, make them choose the part, make them choose the color. If you have different options, if you have different options for your different items, you can use the if statements down here to figure out what it is, right? So if you're going to order like shoes or a t-shirt, and then your shoes can come in a style and a size, and then your t-shirt can come in a color and a size. So maybe if they choose a shoes, you might want to say which style do you want, and if they choose a shirt, you might say what color do you want. So you can really, you can really drill down, and you can make this very, very complete. But you just have to have patience, and it's really good for you to practice this so that you understand how to make it all work. Okay. Now, if you're having problems with, like any of these things, like for instance, so this, let's say you're having trouble with this right here. And you don't have to put these spaces. Remember, these are white spaces. Anytime I put the return key, that's just a white space. It's so that you can see, the main reason for this is just so that you can see each of the separate arguments. Sometimes it's nice to do that just because that way you know exactly what's going on. So you can set it up that way. You can set it up a different way. It doesn't matter. But try to, like I said, try different ways. And then if you need to go look this stuff up, you can go and make sure you need this. You need a telephone number. You need a delivery address. You need to make sure that there's a street, city, state, and zip. So do the best you can with that. You might have to use multiple dialog boxes. You're going to have to validate each one. Make sure that they enter the street. Make sure that they enter the city. Make sure that they enter the state and the zip. If you want to be lazy like me, I tend to be lazy, you can make it so that it checks everything. If any of these are null, then it says an error message. Please make sure you complete all fields on the form. And then just use one generic error message and then just do them all at the same time. So they could do that for like with the name. So they could put in their name, their delivery address, and their telephone number, and then you can check and validate all 3 of those at the same time. If any of those are null, then just throw out the error message. You can use the little bars, or if street.null, or is empty, if street is empty, or if city is empty, or state is empty, or zip is empty, then then say you need to fill out all fields on the form. Please try again, and then just send them back to the form. So you can be creative with how you do this. Okay, you can be creative. Now here it says you can use a try-catch exception for handling all of the input fields. We did not do a try-catch exception. It is described in your book. You can try that. It's actually not that hard. It's not much different than an if statement, so I might go ahead and recommend that you do that. I'm not going to tell you how to do that, but I want you to look in your book. Like I said, it's very, very much like an if statement. So try-catch is a lot like an if statement. Output the user data to a destination file using file writer, and print writer classes. I didn't go over that. I can do that. I'll go over that on Wednesday, and we'll talk about writing to files and stuff. So right now, just worried about getting up to here done, and then we'll talk about using the file writer and the file reader. Yeah, we'll do these because they're in your book, so it'll be easier. I might show you another way to do it that I think is easier, but but I'll show you the way they do it in the book. Okay, and we'll do that on Wednesday. So have as much as you can done of this, and then we'll go from there. And then you should actually have enough knowledge now that you can go ahead and start adding these things to your GUI without too much trouble. So go ahead and start adding this to your GUI, and you shouldn't have too much trouble with that. If you have trouble, send me an email, and we'll go from there. But go ahead and try to get at least down to at least try a try-catch field, okay? And then we'll talk about that on Wednesday, and then we'll talk about the file writer. And then, like I said, with the GUI, you should be familiar enough with the GUI that you can add these other. There's a picture down here of what your GUI should look like. Don't worry about the colors and stuff. I'm going to tell you something honestly. This was not done in GUI Builder. This was done in they made like a picture in PowerPoint. So yours probably is not going to look quite like this. But get it looking kind of like this, okay? And remember, when you're doing it in your GUI, you have to validate all these too. You have to make sure that all these have values. Okay, make sure that all these have values. Okay, you can use pull-down menus too. You can use pull-down menus in your GUI. We'll talk about that on Wednesday, or we might talk about it. We might just save it till next week because we still have all next week to work on this. Okay, all right, so that's it. That's all I've got, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.